Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This video I'm gonna share with you how to get the best footage out of this Insta360 camera. I have been using this camera for almost a year now, and I use this for all the running, cycling and all other action related videos. And the question is how to get the best footage of all those action, cycling and running videos from this camera. This is very interesting camera, as you know that you have so much of possibilities when you use this camera. You can just go out, shoot, come back, get the footage. You don't really need to worry about how to point your camera, where to point this camera, because it's 360 camera. It has got two lenses on it. So we will look into three main aspects of this video today. First one would be a setup of this camera. Second one will be a preparation right before your shooting. And the third one is you have already done your shooting and then come back and export the footage. So I would say it's the editing portion of the footages that you took it on Insta360. Alright, so let's take a look into setting up the camera. First of all, ensure that your camera is up to date. Make sure that the firmware is updated before you even do a setup, because Insta360 frequently rolls out a new firmware, so make sure that you have got a latest firmware. You can check out my other videos about how to go about updating your firmware on Insta360. Alright, so first of all, let's turn on the camera. Alright, so for me, I have set it on the... Okay, let me just make it more brighter. Okay, this looks better. Okay, so first of all, make sure that your camera is always on a 360 mode. Yeah, then on a video mode. At the moment right now I was taking some pictures, so it's on a photo mode, so you change it to the video mode. And always stay on the standard, because standard would be the one that you have a lot of flexibility in changing the footage. Alright, so you have got a few more options like video HDR, you have got the time-lapse, time shift, bullet time. If you are going for Insta360, the best footage is I put it on a standard. So once it's on a Insta360, so the 360 video mode, and then the resolution, always keep it on the highest. For me is 5.7K and the 30 photos per second, 30 FPS. So this is the best, highest resolution that you can come out of this camera, right? So the next one is further settings. So as you can see over here, exposure composure, I put it on the auto. Exposure would be on auto. Then the EV, I always set on a 0. You have other options. Let's say the lighting is not good, you can you can change it to whichever the values that works for you, but I will always keep it on a 0. Wait, alright, okay. White balance, I put it on auto as well, because I do not want suddenly I go into a jungle and then the white balance changes, so I would always keep it in the auto. So the picture profile, this is the most important for me particularly. I would go into the log, because after I have taken photos and footages, I would like to put it on a Final Cut Pro, and then I would do a color correction or maybe insert a LUT files inside. So it's much more better. If you do it on a standard or even a vivid, you can straight away go and start editing, but you have a lesser flexibilities in terms of editing, color grading and all. So for me, I would always like to put it on a log so that it gives out much more possibilities for me to work on after the footage is out or during my editing process. So these are the basic settings. Alright, so once you have all set, then you are ready to go for a shoot. Alright, so the second one is to prepare for the shooting. Alright, so first of all, before you go out for the shooting, make sure that you clean the lens. So what you need to do it is take off the cap, and also not to forget, this cap is a protection for the lenses because the lenses is a little bit outside the surface, so it is very vulnerable, it may get damages, so always make sure that you have a caps on. Alright, so once you take out the cap, always make sure that the lenses are always clean. Second thing is ensure that your battery is fully charged. If you are running out of the battery halfway where you are, it's gonna be quite disappointing. So make sure that you have your battery charged fully before you go out. Third one is the selfie stick. Don't forget to carry this selfie stick with you. This has got this long stick that you really can expand, and this stick will not appear on your footage. Okay, so when you are shooting it as well, make sure that you have this stick at the 45-degree angle, right? So you have got the view of everywhere. Okay, so that was the preparation. Now we go into a shooting, get some footage, and I'll show you the third one, which is a editing portion. Now that we have some shots on this camera, so let's make it the real nice one. So I'm gonna share with you on my computer how to go about it. So let's take a look into it. Okay, so the third aspect of it is to go and download this Insta360 Studio 2021. Go to Insta360.com, then go into a downloads, then you would be able to see Insta360 Studio 2021. So if you are a Mac user, you can download the Mac version of it. If you are a Windows user, you can go ahead with the window downloads as well. Okay, this is where you can download the LUTs. So if you like some good LUTs or different type of LUTs, if your footage is on the log profile, then you can apply these LUTs as well. Okay, so we will be going into the Mac version of it, so I'll just download it. So once the download is complete, then I'll bring you to the Insta360 Studio app. Now you plug in your Insta360 camera to your PC and open your Insta Studio application on your PC, and you can go into add-on media from your Insta360 camera. So as you can see, I have got a bunch of footage over here. So what you can do is you can just download all these footage to your Insta360 Studio app. So as you can see, there are 115 files, but the system is intelligent enough to identify which are the footage, which are the videos, and which are the metadata files. So it would segregate, so it's going to be easy for you to choose which one is it that you want to start editing. So as you can see, now is a 45 footage. Earlier on it was 115, so it's now showing 45 footage. So that means this camera now has got about 45 videos inside. So let's wait and complete this loading. Alright, so as you can see, this is one of my video. Okay, how about this? Alright, so just choose one of the footage from your video over here with the file extension INSV. Then you can just do a play, so you can just play. This is how it would look like. Okay, so there are some of the things that you need to take note of it. Okay, so when you are doing the editing of the footage, unlike on your mobile phone, you could just swing your mobile and then you would be able to capture the area where you want to capture. However, on a computer, there are a few options that you can do it. First is to add a keyframe. So like for example over here, if I want a keyframe, then I either hit on my MacBook, hit Command K, so I can add a keyframe, or I go into deep track. There is another option is to deep track. That means what I would do it is I will delete this keyframe. As you can see, I will delete all these keyframes because you cannot add additional keyframe if you are doing a deep track. So all these keyframes are deleted. Alright, okay. Select the keyframe we used to delete. Yes, okay. Alright. Okay, let me delete this one. Okay, so there is no any keyframe over here. So what I would do it is I would go ahead and choose the point that I want to track. Like for example, in this case, I'm gonna track myself and my wife. I can choose either one of us. So I click onto the deep track over here. Then I select the object that I want to track, then start tracking. So it would start tracking. So you can just sit back, relax, take a look into it, whether the subject moves out of the frame. Then if it is moves out, then you need to stop. Okay, so stop tracking, then you come back and adjust a little bit, then maybe go into 1 or 2 keyframe further forward. Then you can again start doing the keyframing or tracking the object. So now you can start track the object, right? So that is one of the options. Another one is, let's assume that this is the area that you want to capture, right? So you add on the keyframe. Okay, so in this case on my keyframe it's taking it the old one. I delete, so I have one keyframe over here, and then you go, let's say go here, just take a look into it up to where you want. Okay, so assuming this is where I want, so I add another keyframe. So from this footage to this footage, it would stay onto this screen. So assuming I want to go a little bit ahead and then change the way it looks, what I do it is I would just change it and then add another one more keyframe. I would hit the Command K, then it would add on the keyframe. So if the keyframe, one key ending of the keyframe to starting of the other keyframe, then it would take it as a transition. So it's quite nice as well. So like it would be a transition. Okay, so I would hit the record. Okay, so continue. So until here, assuming okay, I want to finish my keyframing. So I have done my keyframing over here, completed. So you can come back and take a look into the footage. Okay, so this is how it look like. All right. Okay, so this is the basic way of doing the editing. You have got a few other options like mask as a trim end, or you can just do trim start as well. All right, so a few other options when you are doing the keyframing. You can just add on the keyframe, and you have a few other options like default. You have got the crystal ball. This is how it look like. Another one is the planet. This is how the planet would look like. If you play the video, this is how it's gonna look like, right? Okay, so there is another option, you can choose it a natural view. This is how the natural view it would be. So if you drag your mouse cursor forward or backward, you can just zoom in, zoom out as well. So I would suggest not to zoom too much because the footage may break a little if you zoom in. So try as much as possible to stay a bit out zoomed actually. Yeah, that's what I would say. Other options like FOV views, you can just change it as well, like how would you want your view to be. You have got these options as well, the distortion control. Let's say if you have got a very much fish eye distortion on the footage, you can just drag a little bit in and out. You would be able to sorry, let's do it here. Okay, so if there is a distortion, you can just adjust that distortions as well. Okay, so as you can see on the left hand side over here, right hand side, there is this camera distortions, the lens distortion. So you can go back and then just change it to 0, so there is a less of a distortion. So as you can see the footage, like it's just nice. Okay, so another option over here is about the time shift. If you click on this one, you have got the option to, let's say you want this footage this much to go in a different speed, then you can just change the speed over here. As you can see, you can go 16 or you can go even, okay, so this is how it's going to look like. Okay, so you have option whether you want the motion blur or not. You can just add the motion blur. So this is how you can do the editing. So the best part about it is when you are exporting this footage, there is where you need to take note of it. So there are some other options that I'm going to share with you here. Stabilization type, you have got options, flow state stabilization on or off. If you like, if your camera is steady on a tripod or something, then you can just off this flow state stabilization. Then you just choose the camera angle and then you just record it or you export it. But I would always recommend to put it into the flow state so that it's always stays very stable, because Insta360 gives out very good stable video. Okay, so the next option is the direction lock. If you like direction lock, then you can go ahead and do the direction lock as well. Okay, so whichever the direction, if this is the direction you want, then you can just keep it into this direction. Yeah, so I'll just skip that part. Okay, so I move on to this stitching. So stitching, there are several options over here. If you have got the lens guard, you can just choose on to the lens guard. As you can see, it would give a little bit of extra space on the stitching. Premium lens guard, if you have a premium lens guard, you can just choose that. Dive case, if you have got a dive case attached to your Insta360 camera. Dive case underwater as well. Okay, or cold shoe mount, if there is a cold shoe mount on it, or custom, you can just do the custom as well. As you can see, yeah, so you have option of where the stitches should look like. If let's say your stick is appearing for whatever the reason, then you can do the manual stitching as well. Okay, so dynamic stitching, it will do the automatically. Okay, chromic aberration, so you can just, okay, for the chromatic calibration, so you can just choose this one if you like the chromatic calibration to be calibrated automatically. So if you do that one, it will calibrate itself. Yeah, it's automatically calibrated, so it will do its job. Quite interesting. So here comes the media processing. Whether you want it to be Aqua Vision 2.0, the footage would look a little bit different. As you can see, the color profile changes. Okay, so True Audio, if you like your footage, if you are on a like vlogging type of a footage where you want to focus on the voice, you can just go into the voice focus. So it would always capture the voice only, then the surroundings will be masked out, I would say. All right, so you can just go into the voice focus as well. Okay, or action focus, it would capture the details around the camera, so you can just put into the action focus if you would like to as well. Okay, logo, if you have your own logo, you can add on your custom logo if you want. Here is the option to add on the custom logos. You can do it, choose your file and then add the custom logos. Usually I don't put any of these. I do not need to say that it's out on Insta360, so I wouldn't say anything about it. Here it is. If you like to do, let's say, new project, you want to start it as a new project, or if there is a multiple footage into this camera, then you can start a new project and work on the project, so that next time you open, the project would open automatically as well. Okay, so that's about the app. Now next is the export. The most important part of this video is start to export. So once you hit on this export, this is where you have a option how you want to go ahead and export your file. If you look into it, if you do the exporting of the files on your mobile, you have an option of exporting only on a 1080p. However, if you use Insta360 Studio, the desktop app, right, so you have an option to put it into the highest resolutions, which is 4K. All right, okay, so you even have preset parameters. You can save all this footage into one folder as well. You can just change it and then put it into the one folder, right? Okay, so the next one is the most important thing, is this bit rate over here. If you are on a lower bit rate, your footage would be very choppy, not nice at all. This is where it makes a lot of difference. You put it into 200, that means your footage will be much more smoother. and it has got the AI effect. If you want the color plus, if you like your footage to be a Insta360 color, a very dynamic color, then you can choose into it. But since I'm shooting on a log profile, I would rather prefer not to put it on a color plus. So what I would do is I'll just uncheck the color plus, but I would always check the remove grain, because Insta360 tend to have a little bit of a grain if you do not process it as it is with the remove grain. So once it's done, there is a two option for you. One, to start exporting, you can straight away start export, or you can just add on to the queue. So if you add on to the queue, what happens, it would go and sit into the queue. So what you can do is you go back to your footage, then you do all the footage processing, and then you go into the export queue, then you just export it all at one go. So this is going to be very easy. Let's say in the evening you want to do all this editing, done, then you just hit this button, then you can go and sleep. Tomorrow morning, wake up, all your footage are all exported into the folder. Alright, so that's about it on the Insta360 Studio app. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope this video was useful. If you find it useful, give a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Until the next video, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourself, take care of the people around you. Bye bye everyone.